In today's video, we are going to be looking at the 20 characteristics of the Antichrist stream, of which narcissists are a part of. We are also going to be looking at the 7 sub-races within the Antichrist stream, of which narcissists are part of. They are all narcissists. And then we are also going to look at the 7 types of entities that you are dealing with when it comes to a narcissist. So those are the 7 entities that you are dealing with in one person who is a narcissist. Let's dive right into it. Hello Soul Tribe, hello Soul Family, welcome to this channel where we heal and integrate, because consciousness is the new frontier. We are healing, removing distorted perceptions from our psyche. We are integrating, remembering the truth of who we are. And who we are is the divine human spirit, connected to God, connected to life, connected to each other, connected to all that is. Don't forget to like these videos. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share this content with kindred spirits. Why am I wearing this Ingwe Yamabala, the leopard print ensemble today? Well, that's a whole story for another time. And you have no idea the kinds of initiations that I've had to go through to put on this attire. So that's another story for another time. For today, let's talk about narcissists, the devil in human form. If you were to look deep enough into the psyche of a narcissist from a spiritual perspective, you will note that they are not human. If you look a little bit deeper, you will also note that from a spiritual perspective, narcissists belong to or fall under the satanic or antichrist stream of consciousness, also called the antichrist impulse or the fallen race. Sacred texts often refer to this satanic stream as an infiltration of mankind by an evil force. The satanic stream is literally a race on its own and not really part of the human race. It is an independent stream of consciousness, an independent race with its own subtypes. This race is often called the sons of Belial, or the sons of the wicked one, or the sons of perdition, or the beast system. It is an evil race of beings hiding among us as us, camouflaging and disguising themselves as ordinary human beings. And yet there is nothing ordinary or human about them. Here are some characteristics of this satanic or antichrist stream of consciousness. Number 1, they are a force that opposes God and the higher dimensions of life. They are thus in constant war with God. Number 2, their perspective and approach to life is opposite to that of the real human. For example, to them, bad is good and good is bad. Their form of spirituality is a perversion, also known as Lucifer's religion, right? And their form of science is a distortion, also known as materialistic science. You won't see this at a surface level because they do a very good job of hiding their true nature and appearing normal. Number 3, they worship themselves rather than worshiping the creator of life. Number 4, they are false light workers, false prophets, wolves in sheep clothing. Number 5, they want to be gods to the people who are in relationships with them. And they seek to possess those people too. Quite often they do. Number 6, Satan, their father, is the father of lies, and so they too are great liars. they have very smooth tongues. Number 6, they are cunning, deceitful, spellcasters, seducers, and captivators. Number 7, they are evil in their hearts and in their deeds. There is no good in them, although they often pretend otherwise. Number 9, they scoff at and mock that which is authentically good and of God. Number 10, their mouths being full of flattery, they lead people into destruction. Number 11, they disguise themselves with false modesty and generosity. Number 12, in reality, they are arrogant, boastful, and they believe they are above reproach. Number 13, they steal, kill, and destroy. Number 15, they set up traps, also known as baiting, to catch and harm unsuspecting people. Number 16, every day they hurry off to do evil in the world. Number 17, their consciences do not exist. The Bible, in fact, says it is seared as if with a hot iron. Number 18, they are weeds, tares, goats, serpent seeds, vipers, beasts, reprobates, and degenerates. Number 19, they are oppressors, bullies, and terrorists. Number 20, and the last one, they are devourers, destroyers, murderers, and thieves. This is how sacred texts describe this fallen race of the Antichrist. And I don't have to tell you that they are actually referring to narcissists. And this is why I'm encouraging you to take your encounter with narcissists as a spiritual assault, because it is. On the surface, it appears that you are dealing with a mere mortal, but in reality, you are dealing with rulers and principalities in the spirit realm. That simply means you are dealing with an evil, multidimensional, or spiritual race. As previously mentioned, this race has sub-races within itself. And so far, I have identified 7 of them. These sub-races can be divided into 2 categories, namely bloodlines and possession. Let's look at bloodlines. These are evil spirits born as human beings, basically incarnating in human form. Being mostly fallen angels, they know how to manipulate the incarnation and reincarnation process so that they keep reincarnating within the same bloodlines and or clans or tribes. Here, you will often, but not always, find a whole family or a group being narcissistic. They don't always get it right, but this is how they typically operate. Let's look at the possession category. When evil spirits don't have a form of their own, they will possess human bodies. Sometimes they will do this temporarily, but most of the time they do it permanently. And when they do this permanently, we call it narcissism. So let's explore the 7 sub-races of the satanic stream, of which narcissists are a part of. We've got fallen angels, we've got the Nephilim, we've got the serpent seeds, and we've got hybrids. These 4 groups are part of the bloodline category. And then we've got the hijacked souls, which is number 5. Number 6, we've got engineered humans. And number 7, we've got degenerates. So these 3 last groups, they fall within the possessed category. Let's explore them further. So the first group being the fallen angels, these are the watchers and the rebels who have been on earth ever since they arrived here, according to Genesis, according to the book of Enoch, and according to Revelations chapter 12 and 13, somewhere there. They've been here and they never left. There's no record of them having had left. How did fallen angels take on a human form? How did they become part of humanity? Well, when it comes to the Watchers, also called the sons of God at first, they were here on earth to help humanity in the early days of our earth school of Christ consciousness. They were meant to only observe and guide. They had taken on a human form to do this, but were never meant to interfere in human affairs. And so, when they rebelled and started having children with human beings and teaching them abominations, they tied themselves to the karma of human beings and to the material or physical plane. They were no longer able to move back into the higher realms. They were stuck on earth and have been here since then. They lost most of their abilities, but still have some of them which they use in black magic and all kinds of perversions. Why don't we know the fact that we have fallen angels among us? Because if we knew, that would level out the playing field, and fallen angels, being narcissists and psychopaths, don't play fair. They thrive in secrecy. And because we had been living in a very dark age, also called the Kali Yuga, which has recently ended, they were able to thrive in this secrecy. They were able to take over the world, and they had been in charge of the world all this time. And now that we have moved into the Dwapara Yuga, the light of Christ is beginning to expose them. This is why we are having these conversations. The second group, which I call the rebels, decided to fight against God in heaven because, just like the Watchers, they wanted to overthrow God's throne and to destroy humanity. Archangel Michael fought against them and threw them on earth. And because of the darkness that was covering the earth over the past several thousands of years, many of them were able to incarnate in human form, whilst some were stuck in the lower astral plane as demons. Another story for another time is the fact that these fallen angels who are stuck in the astral plane as demons often work with black magicians who are also fallen angels themselves in human form. They work together to create these things often called humalunkas or golems or chimeras, all sorts of strange creatures which are nowadays, of course, called aliens, but they create some kind of creatures which are meant to host these demonic fallen angels, to give them a physical form. They are hiding among us as part of us. And then the second group, of course, is the Nephilim. They are descendants of fallen angels and humans. So basically, they are a hybrid species, between fallen angels and humans. They used to be giants in days of old, but they are not giants now. They are just giants in stature. Number 3, we've got the serpent seeds. So these are descendants of an evil snake-like human race from prehistory. Their energy is very snake-like, and so is their nature. So they are very crafty. So this prehistoric snake-like human race has to do with the time when human beings were not yet occupying this particular form. They were occupying a slightly different form than this one. However, this is the time when this particular group lost their way, they lost their path. They went out of the stream of life, the stream of Christ consciousness, and took a detour for themselves. And so their physical bodies, as well as their astral bodies, were stuck at that snake or serpent stage of evolution. They could no longer evolve with human beings in the school of life. Instead, they were devolving into snakes and reptile type of creatures. They retreated to caves or caverns and other dark parts of the earth, away from the sun and away from human beings. They then started to become extinct. And so, to avoid this extinction, as well as to unlawfully continue their evolution, they decided to interbreed with human beings through deception and through force, of course. Their descendants are the true serpent seeds, whilst they themselves are the serpents. So, by interbreeding with human beings, this snake race was able to continue their physical evolution, which was stuck at the serpent phase. Now, through this interbreeding, they got to evolve with humanity. But there is a catch though. They are not really evolving spiritually because they can't cheat God. And so physically, they look like human beings. They are human, but spiritually, their energy is still stuck at that phase of the snake form. And so psychologically, they are snakes too. That's why most spiritually sensitive people will see their astral bodies looking like snakes. Another interesting thing about this subrace is how they talk. They are real smooth talkers and they know how to use the tone and volume of their voices to control people in their lives. They also use their eyes. They will make you very sleepy and hypnotize you whenever it is that they interact with you. They are very sly, very cunning, and their posture is highly sexual. They are mostly covert and somatic narcissists. And then we've got number 4, hybrids. So, of course, Nephilim are hybrids, but there are many other hybrids as well. This is a combination of the Nephilim and fallen angel, or the serpent seed and fallen angel, or the serpent seed and the Nephilim, or the serpent seed and any other hybrid, or a serpent seed and a possessed soul. So this is a hybrid between any group of sub races. Number 5, we've got the hijacked souls of humans. So these are human beings who endured a lot of trauma. And of course, they also have karma and they also have soul contracts for some reason to be part of that particular stream of consciousness. And so, because of all of those things, what happens is that then they become possessed by the demonic stream of consciousness, which are demonic spirits that don't have a form of their own. And perhaps in another video, I will explain how that, fallen angels end up not having bodies of their own, whilst some have bodies of their own. And it's not only fallen angels that end up becoming demons with no bodies, but even human beings themselves, they can become demons when they die, for example. So hijacked souls and engineered humans can actually wake up. They can become so-called self-aware narcissists. And usually when they become truly self-aware narcissists, they begin to warn other people against narcissists. You understand? So I really believe that this is part of their soul contract. Why a person would be a hijacked soul is because they are meant to actually wake up and then to begin to warn others about narcissism and to even help them to recover from narcissistic abuse. And then, of course, let's look at the engineered humans, which is number 6. So this, of course, are still, possessed souls. They are engineered by the fallen group through genetics, through socialization, through chemicals, through a toxic environment, and many other things. They can even be spiritually engineered as well. So, but these are human beings that have literally been engineered so that they can be possessed by demonic spirits. And then they also have that whole karma and soul contract aspect, which plays a part into them becoming engineered like this. This is also another group that can wake up, and that often does wake up and begin to help other people to become aware of narcissism and to also heal and recover from narcissistic abuse. At this point, I would like to warn you and to request you not to try to heal the narcissist in your life. It is best to leave this to professionals, people who are trained at assisting such kind of people. The best people to assist narcissists are mental health professionals and spiritual professionals who are trained in this particular regard. I myself don't do this. And then there are also self aware narcissists who often help other narcissists as well to deal with their problem, with their mental health issue. Those would be the best people to assist narcissists. You also don't want to begin to try and figure out which sub race is your narcissist belonging to. Is your narcissist a bloodline narcissist, or is it a possessed narcissist? You don't want to be doing that, because this subject is much more complicated than meets the eye. We are only sharing this information now just so that you can understand the supernatural aspect of this phenomenon of narcissism. All right. So number 7 is the degenerate group. So this are those that consciously chose to do evil incarnation after incarnation. And so they ended up losing their souls. Ended up becoming so degraded and degenerated that they naturally became hosts for demonic entities, and it's not possible for them to exist any other way. So these entities are really what you are dealing with when you are dealing with a narcissist. And that's not all, because one narcissist himself or herself is actually many entities within one entity. And so far, I've got about 7 entities that you'd be dealing with, and you are welcome to share more of the entities that you have noticed in your own observation in the comments down below. So let me show you the 7 entities that I have observed when it comes to dealing with a narcissist. So the first one is a traumatized child who is typically about 2 years old. So this is the entity that you are dealing with when it comes to a narcissist, right? A traumatized child, typically about 2 years old. This is the first one. This is a human being, right? Number 2, you are dealing with an unconscious adult with a seriously broken psyche. All right, this is still a human being. And then when we move to number 3 and then going all the way to number 7, you are no longer dealing with a human being. Let me show you how. Number 3, you are dealing with a false entity, a shape-shifting type of mirage, often called a non-player character or something like that. But this is a false entity that is very shape-shifting, and it's a mirage. Anytime you think you understand who the narcissist is in your life, they shape shift, they become something else, and it's like you just can't pin them down. And that's because they are that false entity that is constantly shape shifting. Number 4, they are a predator which has no empathy or a conscience. That's another entity that you are dealing with there. A predator with no conscience and no empathy. Number 5, you are dealing with an energy vampire with an insatiable appetite. Number 6, you are dealing with a demon that thrives on pain, chaos, and destruction. Number 7, you are dealing with a black magician with the power to captivate, to hypnotize, and to hold psychic prisoners. All right, these 5 entities from number 3 up to number 7, you are not dealing with a normal human being there anymore. All right, you are dealing with a supernatural entity. You are dealing with supernatural forces. This brings in the supernatural aspect to the whole thing of narcissism. This is why you want to supplement your healing with a spiritual practice such as psychic protection. Another reason why psychic protection is so important is that we will always have wounds and cracks in our boundary systems for as long as we are operating in the third dimension. And so narcissists can easily take advantage of these weak areas. However, if there is psychic protection in place, for example, if you have God as your shepherd and as the one that's protecting you and covering all areas of your life, then that becomes the firewall protecting your psyche against the onslaughts of narcissists. If you are dealing with the devil in human form, then you most certainly need God, because your intellect will never be enough to counter a supernatural force. And I really believe that the reason the devil hides himself in narcissism is precisely so that we can underrate and underestimate him whilst he destroys humanity. Just a few points to note as we conclude. Please understand that this topic is much more complicated than what I have been able to share with you in this video. Remember, none of the information that I'm sharing with you should warrant any attack on anyone simply because you deem them to be a narcissist. Also, please note that this fallen race is mostly made up of hybrids at the moment due to extinction threats, and most importantly, their interbreeding program is now widespread amongst humanity. So widespread that most, if not all, human bloodlines have members of the fallen race within them. Another point is that it's not always possible to identify which subrace of the fallen race your particular narcissist, quote unquote, that you would be dealing with is part of, as they are mostly hybrids. There may be, however, dominant aspects in one narcissist, such as the fallen angel or Nephilim or the serpent aspects. Let me give you 3 examples of the markers that somewhat sets them apart, even though they will still have other aspects within them. The first one, let's explore the fallen angels and Nephilim. So they are mostly prominent people, even if not famous. You will know them because they'll be narcissistic psychopaths. They'll also be deep into black magic or the dark occult. Number 2, the serpent seeds. They typically use their bodies and magnetic powers to get ahead in life. They also use the smooth talking as well as hypnosis. You will know them because they will be narcissists. Number 3, possessed humans will be those narcissists that are really battling with their narcissism. There will be an incoherence within their psyche because the human will be fighting the demons. And this will cause some kind of disturbance that is very difficult to hide. The person may even confess that there's something wrong with them. They may go to a mental health professional for help. They may even go to a spiritual practitioner or a church seeking help. Unfortunately, they don't always get the help that they need. They will struggle to live a fake normal life or to pretend to be sane. They may become reckless or violent, and they will just be malfunctioning sociopaths who end up destroying themselves, unfortunately. This also happens with the hybrids that have more human aspects within them than the fallen races. A few things can help such people. For example, spiritual intervention, which will often include demon casting, but the person has to have volunteered for such kind of an intervention. And also, it will be very important for them to understand what is happening with them. They need to understand the narcissism aspect of it, and they need to understand the demonic possession aspect of it as well. Um, Also, ideally, for such kind of people that are dealing with this kind of problem, they would need to deal with a self-aware narcissist that helps other narcissists to deal with their narcissism as well. So they will need those kind of things. Another thing that can help such people is the kind of spiritual intervention that has to do with someone from their soul group or their bloodline. When that person goes through some spiritual kind of healing, some breaking of generational curse or something along those lines, that will absolutely trickle into this person's psyche as well and into their lives. And it may disrupt the demonic activities within their psyche, and that might give them relief, but they will also still have to be actively playing a part. Finally, that question that you want to ask me: do narcissists know what and who they are? The answer to that is that mostly, if not all, know that there's something wrong with them. They know that there's something very dark about them, something inherently evil about them. They are aware of that. That's why many of them resort to being covert narcissists. So they are aware and they are consciously hiding who they are. However, when it comes to the spiritual aspect of things, that tends to go over their head for some strange reason. And this is where then they will begin to mock, videos such as this one. They will begin to mock people who talk about demons and devils and things like that. And so part of it, of course, has to do with ego defense mechanisms. But some of them do know very well that what they are is very demonic. Some of them even are aware that they are part of a fallen angelic stream or something to that effect. For example, a narcissist once told me that he was actively looking for the Church of Satan, where he could participate in human sacrifice and all sorts of black magic that is evil and horrendous. Knowing all of that too well, he still wanted to be part of that group. So, in conclusion, narcissists are not human from a spiritual perspective. They are inhumane, as empathy as well as a conscience is what spiritually constitutes a human being. The only human thing about narcissists is their physical form. Not only are they inhumane, but they are an embodiment of the Antichrist spirit or the Antichrist stream of consciousness, also known as Satan. This is why I say that narcissists are the devil in human form. May the light of Christ be our shield. Thank you for spending time with me on this transmission, Soul Tribe, Soul Family. Remember, consciousness is the new frontier. Until next time, namaste.